And here we go. Here is Stalker then, all in package. It's the standard G.I. Joe packaging here. We've got the window at the front showing the figure and all the lovely, lovely goodies that are coming with Stalker. And he is stacked. Stacked with armaments, I say. This guy is ready for action. Lots of added value there. And of course, they're showing off that added value, as well they should. We've got the little bit of artwork down here. I've got to admit, actually, I'm not as keen on that artwork as I have been other pieces on the front of packaging in the past. But, you know, horses for courses at the end of the day. It's a lovely painted piece of work. It's just not my cup of tea. So that's fine. But then there's more artwork on the side, which you can see here. Again, more of the same, more of that painted artwork. If that's your bag, then that's fine. And like some of the others recently, it wraps around. See there? Where it joins the picture on the front, which I think is quite interesting. And then on the other side, Stalker is the 46th figure in the line, and we've got the standard data card that you can cross-reference against the Hasbro website. I don't do that. I've never done that, but I'm pretty sure some of you will, but it looks like he can do telescopy things. He's got some bullets. He has an eye infection, and he's good with pets. So, excellent. And then finally on the back, it's the standard G.I. Joe promotional artwork that we've seen up until this date. So there you go. Right, let's get this bad boy open. So I've already popped the tape. Slip my finger in there. Usually we've got the paperwork. Whoop, and slide Stalker out. Oh, his beret's just already fallen loose. There we go. It's the standard G.I. Joe backing card. He's not part of a specific wave like Tiger Force or anything. So standard there. Let's get rid of those. And look at all this. Amazing. Although it's more sellotape. Right then, so let's start with this big cannon. Massive machine gun thing here. That looks awesome. And then with that, we have what looks to be... Oh, so this is like a belt-fed magazine on this one. And then like a knife in here. Although it looks less like a combat knife this time and more like, you know, a carving knife for your turkey. But there you go. And then we've got like a little kind of submachine gunny thing or another sort of rifle type thing. Then, oh, what's this up here? This is an interesting one. So that's going to be the magazine for the submachine gun by the looks of it. And then we've got his handgun. Little pistol there. Which has got, oh, bit of tape, get rid of that bit of tape. It's got like an extended magazine going on and a silencer. Then his little kind of dust scarf here. That's a kind of soft rubbery mould. Looks like he's got like a carry pack for one of his weapons. We'll check out which one it is in a moment. And then, of course... Oh, I hate that noise. The figure himself. Yeah, there we go. There's Stalker. Although I'm looking at his legs. Not keen on the look of them legs in there. But we'll check those out in more detail in a second. Yeah, there we go. There's Stalker. So I'm going to go away now, have a bit of playtime, get my man-child playtime in, do some posing, take some photographs, do the usual routine, and I'll be back in a couple of days' time to share some thoughts after I've had a bit of hands-on time with the figure. So back in 3, 2, 1, and here he is, Sgt Stalker. It's been a couple of days now since I recorded the unboxing section of the video, and my usual routine is to go away, have a bit of a play, pose him up, take some photos. He's been hanging out with Outback largely for the last couple of days. I've done some great photos of the two of them, like stepping into action and stuff. And now that I have had some hands-on time with the figure, I'm ready to come back and share some thoughts. So for the purposes of this review, I'm going to break it down into 3 sections. The sections I call the 3 A's. I'm going to start with the aesthetic and talk about the way that the character looks. Then I'm going to move on to articulation and talk a bit about how the character feels, how he moves, obviously the articulation points. And then finally, I'm going to finish up with the 3rd A, the accessories, which on this guy is going to be a bit of a longer segment than usual because there's quite a lot of ground to cover there. So let's not dilly-dally around and let's start with the first A, talk about the aesthetic of Stalker. Hey folks, before we go any further, just wanted to take a moment's pause to say an enormous thank you to all of you who have subscribed to the channel of late. A couple of reviews ago, I said that I was looking for help and support and subscribers to get me over the 100 subscriber mark so I could have the unique URL. And you delivered, you mobilized, you got me over the 100 and it was just overwhelming. It was awesome. I'm so privileged to have you as subscribers on the channel. Then in the next video, I said, oh, well, maybe I can get to 150. Please do subscribe. And you did it. You got me over 150. And now I'm in a position where 200 is in sight. And I know that is small fry in the world of, big YouTube channels with millions of subscribers, but it is truly an honor and a privilege to have you subscribing to my channel, those who have done so, and a great, massive, enormous thank you from me for helping me get over those personal landmark goals. So you're great, you're awesome, action figure community, best community in the world. I appreciate you so much. Thanks. Right, let's crack on, get on with the rest of the review. Yes, okay, let's get into it then. How does Stalker look as a figure? And I am, right up top, going to let you know I am super happy with the way this figure looks. If I'm being honest, when I first saw the digital render, I was a little bit like, yeah, it's all a bit samey, all this kind of one-tone green thing going on. And I get it. I've said it on previous videos. The military dudes, of course, are all going to be wearing camouflage and khaki and fatigues and, combat pants and all that kind of stuff. But this guy just seemed all a bit too one note. I recently said the same about the Falcon digital render, actually, just because it's all, shoulder to boots, very samey in colour. But then I saw the promo photos and I got a bit of FOMO and went in on the pre-order, and now here he is, I've got him, and I'm like, yes, I am so happy I picked up this guy. He has got tons of top-notch stuff going on with him that gives it just loads of personality, really tells that narrative, tells that story, that Stalker story at a glance. Just depth and texture all over the thing. I'm really, really happy with it. Now, let's get started with the thing I always am super impressed with when it comes to the G.I. Joe Classified series, the head sculpt. The folks on the G.I. Joe Classified team really know how to sculpt a face, but not just like giving it an expression, but telling a story. I mean, look at, he's got this very sergeant-y kind of stoic, serious look going on. I mean, he's a military guy. He's thinking about things. He's strategizing. He's considering his next tactical move. It's just, you could just see it in the eyes. He's a guy. This guy was in Nam. He's seen shit, man, and you know by the look on his face that he's seen shit. You can see like the weathered lines on the cheeks, and the moustache. I'm so in love with the moustache. I mean, Stalker's stash work is second to none, but look at the detail. Look at the detail, the little kind of fuzzy, furry hair thing going on, and the hair on top of his head as well. I mean, they really could have made that just a very plain, bland piece, but they've made the effort to add a bit of texture to it, give it some depth. He's got that little shaved-in line there on the side of his head. I think, is that a scar, or is that a fashion statement? I don't know. But yeah, the face sculpt is awesome. I mean, look at his forehead. Look at the moulding, and my finger's messing with the autofocus. Let's try it there. Look at the forehead. Detail in the forehead, just amazing. Really, I'm always so happy with the head sculpts when it comes to G.I. Joe Classified, and he looks great next to Outback. There is a little bit of a QC issue on his chin, though. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little bit of a moulding line there that's bugged me a little bit, but it's not too bad, and I think it's probably just unique to my figure. I don't think that will be everybody's experience with it. So yeah, there's the face sculpt, which is the first thing that I'm really happy with. Then, as always, we've got loads of detail and texture in the actual body, like the creases and the folds in the uniform, and like the cuffs on his little kind of military sweater here and around the collar there. The webbing on here has got loads of texture. I like that they've bothered to put a couple of different colours in here as well. There's like a grey bit there on that little knife, different greens and stuff, but you can see that sort of leatheriness of the shoulder sections, for example. Really great. The trousers are always fantastic on G.I. Joe Classified. You can see the fabric texture, got all the seam lines, like in his fly and down the sides and where the little pockets are. The extra holster and his sheath on the side here. Again, nice little touches of detail. Might have liked some painted buckles, these bits being black perhaps or something, but, that's a nitpick really when you consider the overall aesthetic. But a few little extra black bits on the buckles here, for example, might just have framed it and broken it up a bit better, but that's fine. When we get to the accessories and we talk about the scarf, that kind of changes the situation anyway. The camouflage pattern, really, really awesome. Just very, very good. Pinless joints as well. Oh, look at them elbows. Gorgeous. Yeah, just really, really adds to the aesthetic of the figure. Really great. And then the boots. Always great detail on the boots. Like you can see every lace through the loopholes there. Absolutely superb. So yeah, he just strikes a great figure out of the box. You just look at him and go, yeah, that's one hardcore. Well, he's a sergeant. He's a grizzly sergeant dude who takes care of business, and he's got it all going on. And the look and aesthetic and story that it's telling is just present at a glance, and I love that. So clearly, I'm very happy with the way that Stalker looks, and he fits in really nicely with the rest of the Joes on my shelf. They've got a nice kind of cohesive feel to them that ties it together well. So, big thumbs up, MoDXtra thumbs up on that front. Now let's talk a little bit about the articulation. How does he feel? How does he move? And to do that, we're going to start by talking about above the shoulders. Okay, so, in terms of articulation, it's standard fare for the G.I. Joe Classified Series line, which is no bad thing because the articulation is really quite top-notch and is absolutely blowing all the other Hasbro lines out of the water. The head is the same as usual. It's got the 2 ball joints here, so we've got loads of motion in the head, like all the way around if you want. Woo, Exorcist. And a bit of tilt going on. Then you've got the joint at the bottom of the neck as well, allowing for some good down, some good up. It's just all really awesome. Now, one thing I have observed, though, and again, I don't know if this is unique to my figure or whether this is something that's happening with all of them popping out the production line. I don't know if you noticed there, it's a bit loosey-goosey. He's a bit loosey-goosey. I popped him off and popped it back on again, and it seemed better, but yeah, a bit weebly-wobbly, but that's okay. It's stiff enough that things stay in place when you put them, where you want them. So that's fine, but just something I observed there. But yeah, the usual top quality kind of neck and ball joint head thing going on there with Stalker. Moving a bit further down, let's talk about the arms. We've got the butterfly joints on the shoulders there on both sides. Mine's a bit gummy here on the left, but a bit loosey-goosey here on the right, actually. And in fact, the whole right arm is a bit loose, comparable to what I'm used to with the G.I. Joe Classified line. It's caused me a bit of problems when I was doing some posing with him the other day, taking some photos, because his big heavy machine gun causes a bit of droopage. Now, I don't know if that's just something with my particular figure or with a little batch that's popped off the production line, but it's worth noting nonetheless. But in any case, the shoulders go all the way round. We can do the nice T. Then on the arms, we've got the swivel at the top of the bicep and tricep. Got these lovely double elbows there, making for he can get his quite high up. He's obviously, the gun show's not quite significant on Stalker as it has been on some other recent figures. But yeah, that's nice. And pinless. Look at it, great. And then on the wrists, we've got swivel on the wrists. And then the right hand wrist has got the up and down hinge on it. And the left hand has got the in and out hinge on it. Now, one thing I have noticed, talking about the hinges, is that on this right arm here, the up and down is a little bit restricted by how far the cuff comes over the edge of the hand there, which is a tricky one, because I like the way that looks. It's very neat and tidy, true to form, but it does affect some of the range of motion there on that hinge, but minor criticism. Then in the torso area, you can see we've got this ab crunch joint here just below his chest. That's got good forward. That's got good back. We've then also got down here some good hip swivel and hip motion as well, so you can get him right the way down. Nice back as well. And the webbing doesn't get in the way too much, although, as you probably just noticed, it does kind of rise up like this quite a lot when you're using the joints in this area, which can be a little bit of an annoyance. Then moving down into the legs, it's the standard G.I. Joe Classified hip joint with the drop-down leg there like that. That gives a really great range of motion in the leg area around the hips. In fact, if he didn't have his dagger in his sheath there, we could get full-on Russian ballet there, which is really awesome. Then there's the thigh swivel at the top of the thigh. Really great double knee all the way back there. Swivel at the top of the boot. And then the standard G.I. Joe Classified hinge forward and back with the rocker as well, which gives him, once again, like all the other previous G.I. Joe Classified figures, an excellent range of articulation. So the articulation is, yeah, great as always. It's standard G.I. Joe classified, but it's a standard that I'm hugely appreciative of. They found a bit of a groove with it, they found a bit of a formula, and it's a great formula, one that suits me down to the ground. I'm very happy with the articulation that I get on my G.I. Joe Classified series figures, and Stalker is no different. I'm just a little bit disappointed, I suppose, that I've got this kind of loosey-goosey neck thing going on, and this bit of a loose right arm. And when it comes to articulation, I suppose there's a question of wanting it just tight enough that it holds its position when you're posing him up, but not so tight that it's anxiety inducing when you're moving it and you're worried you're about to snap a limb off, you know. And this arm is just loose enough that it's kind of affecting and wobbling him a bit loose when I'm trying to do things, especially with the machine gun that he's got. Which leads me neatly into the third A. Let's now talk about the accessories. So there's 9 whole extra components that come with Stalker. The first one I wanted to point out was this massive cannon of a machine gun thing that he's got. I mean, look at that. It is moulded all in a single colour plastic, which is a tiny bit disappointing. We've seen some of the weapons and now start to get a little splash of colour on them, but still, it's got a lot of nice detail. One of the components that came with it was this massive belt-fed magazine thing here, which I put on this side. It seemed like the right way to put it because there's a little groove at the back here to accommodate the trigger, but he's got his massive hand cannon there. Fits in his hand quite nicely, although, talking QC once again, I've got a little bit of paint that's sort of spilled into the gap of the finger there, which has meant it a little bit tough to get the trigger finger to sit neatly in place on the figure. I don't know if you can see that there. Minor niggle. I can just get I'll get a little bit of a knife on it and loosen it up. But yeah, the paint has operated as a bit of glue in between his fingers, which is a tiny bit annoying. Then we've got this little submachine gun here with its extra magazine, which is loose so that you can slot that into the, I don't know, do you call it the magazine slot? I don't know what you call that. But that fits in there. Give it a little bit of a push to make sure it doesn't come loose. Again, single piece of moulded plastic, but lots of nice little detailed touches in there. And this one's particularly interesting because it also comes with a little sheath in the back to put it in. Now, I've got 2 slots in it there. One that takes the weapon and one that takes the magazine, although you have to do... Oh, hang on. I should have done the magazine first. Let's do it that way around. Was it in there like that? Yeah, there you go. Magazine slots in like that. The rifle slots in like that, and then you've got the peg here, which goes into the peg hole on his back, like that. There we go, see? The weapons just keep coming with Stalker, though, because the next accessory on the list is his handgun. He's got this little pistol here. It's got like this little extended magazine. Stalker likes to have lots of bullets, apparently. And then this pistol comes with this, I want to say it's a silencer. I think it's a silencer. It's quite big and bulky, but it slides neatly into the barrel like that and kind of extends it. Is it maybe some of the firearms folks out there, Cornelius, if you're watching, is that a silencer or maybe a suppressor? Do they sometimes call it a suppressor? I don't know if the intent on that is to silence his gun or to increase the bullet range. I'm not a firearms guy, so I don't know, but it still looks damn cool. And once again, we've got a storage space for this. The little suppressor, silencer, barrel extender, whatever it is, slides into this little slot here at the front, and then we've got a holster which it fits neatly in like so. Then we've got his dagger, which I joked when I did the unboxing looks a little bit more like a kitchen knife than a dagger, and I still stand by that. But again, you can see a bit of extra detail on the grip, and what I particularly like about this is that they've painted the blade the metallic colour, so there's a bit of difference in tone there, so that's really cool. And once again, there's a storage space on the figure for that. He's got a little knife sheath here that it just slides into like so. Just circling back around to the aesthetic, look at the detail on the knife sheath, lovely. And then we've got the scarf here, likes to keep the wind and the sand off his neck, obviously, and maybe insects or something, I'm not sure. But this is a nice piece as well and really adds to the character and personality of the figure. To get this on and off, you need to pop the head off, which is the standard routine with action figures, just a bit of force on the top there like that. Then slide the scarf down like so, and then pop the head back on. There we are. And yeah, doesn't he look fetching in his scarf? Although, I'll just pause on that one for a minute because I did say I'd revisit the scarf. So yeah, it looks great. I might have liked it in a different colour. Maybe the darker green or perhaps something in the brown space. It just all sort of blends with the rest of the uniform a bit too much for my aging colourblind eyes, but that's okay. I still like it. It definitely adds to this. As I've said many times, I like my figure to tell a story, and this gives it lots of personality, lots of character. Just tells me a bit of something about Stalker's kind of practical mindset around being out in the field, which works. The thing is that it adds a lot to the bulk. Can you see how it's sort of really bulking him out on the top here? It takes us back to some of the earlier days with some of the G.I. Joe Classified series figures that were very bulky with body armour. And I was doing some posing up the other day and trying to get him to hold his machine gun and sort of look down the sights. And because of all this added bulk with the webbing and then the scarf, I couldn't sort of get him to hold his gun across his front in a way that worked and looked natural. It looked a bit kind of uncanny and not right, and like he was holding it a bit funny. So while it looks great, just bear in mind when it comes to posing your figure, this added bulk can get in the way of the sort of gun holding thing that you might want to try and do at the front, and it also starts to get a bit more in the way of the ab crunch because it all sort of bunches up like that. Can you see how it's all sort of bunched up? So great for the look, great for the storytelling, but does kind of just get a bit fiddly and fidgety when you're trying to pose him up. And then last, but by no means least on the accessory selection, we've got his beret. A man needs his hat, you know what I'm saying? It's a nice firm fit on the top of the head there, just pops on and off easily enough, but it's also not loose, doesn't fall off, which I am appreciative of. Once again, the colour does blend, but they've broken it up a bit with his little insignia here to give a little splash of colour on it, but it does all sort of blend in together. But still, great looking beret. Really finishes off the military look of Stalker. And here we go, just for a bit of comparison. I said before that Stalker had been hanging out with my man Outback, and here they are together. You can see Outback's kind of more muscular figure design next to Stalker there, just to give you an idea of how they look together on the shelf. I'm sure you'll agree. Quite a fetching pair of chaps indeed. And here he is next to his old Nam buddy Tommy, hanging out, catching up, seeing how things have been since those days in the service together. And here we go. Here is Stalker, all fully kitted up with his accessories in an action pose. This is how I've had him on the shelf for the last couple of days next to Outback. After my frustrations of trying to get that rifle sort of two-handed looking down the sights across his chest, I thought, do you know what? This is probably because Stalker does it Schwarzenegger style. You know what I mean? He's got his heavy machine gun, commando styling it up, just taking care of Cobra baddies with one arm. Because why not? It's my shelf, my man-child playtime, my fantasy land. So Stalker does it Schwarzenegger style. And that's how he's been posed. And actually, I'm quite happy with that pose. So overall, it's a great figure. Great figure. It gets a thumbs up from MoDXtra. I would highly recommend getting your hands on one if you can. I recognise that we've been particularly blessed in some parts of the world compared to others. But just bearing in mind that I've had a couple of quality control issues with the loosey-goosey joints in the head and that right arm. And even though I'm less bothered by it since I saw the digital renders, he does look just a bit kind of like that uniform, just the same green all the way down. Even with the camouflage, it could have done with perhaps just a little something else. I don't know what necessarily. I can't put my finger on what it is I feel like it could do with, but I just kind of want something else. But the pros far outweigh the cons. The face sculpt is tremendous. The added value with the selection of accessories we get is tremendous. The texture, the depth, the personality that the figure has, all far outweighs the negatives. So there we go. Right, I think that probably about wraps it up there then. If you've enjoyed what you have seen today, then please do take the time to go and give me a thumbs up. Like takes you just a second, but it means ever so much to me. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, and this is the sort of review that you like to see, and you're a massive adult child like me who worships at the broad church of nerddom, then perhaps this is a channel for you to hang out on. But otherwise, I've been Chris. This is MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. Thank you so very much for watching.